Welcome to the Betrayal Trauma Recovery Bookshelf, a space for women healing from betrayal to reconnect with their mind, body, and soul, one page at a time. I'm Rachel Strong-Smith, a betrayal trauma coach who's walked this path myself. In each episode, we'll explore books that speak to the heart of recovery, books that validate your experience, offer insight, and remind you that you're not alone. This isn't about fixing yourself. It's about coming home to yourself. So, whether you're in the thick of survival or finding your way back to solid ground, pull up a chair. You're in the right place. Hi, welcome back to the Betrayal Trauma Recovery Bookshelf. We are continuing with Dan Drake. Hi, Dan.
Hey, Rachel.
We're diving back into part 2, talking about the disclosure workbooks. So I hope you've had a chance to look at part 1. We've talked about some misconceptions about disclosures, and I would love to dive into content truth and behavioral truth. And this is not one of the questions that I gave you, I don't think, but it's been on my mind a lot. Can you tell us a little bit more about content truth and behavioral truth?
Yeah, this is actually especially, well, I was going to say for the betrayed partner, but I think for both people, this is really important. There's truth that comes in disclosure, not just in the information shared. So content truth is what's shared. It's the information. Typically, if we're using a written disclosure, it's what's on the disclosure document. That's the content truth. It's what's information shared. The behavioral truth is the rest. How is it shared? What's showing up? How's the person managing the process? Are they willing to do it? Are they, taking it seriously? Are they showing up defensively? Or are they collapsing into shame? There's the behavioral truth is, I guess you want to say it's kind of like the emotional maturity of the disclosing person. So it's the behavioral, it's how are they showing up in the process? So my job, if I'm working with the betraying person is, we want to get a document. We want to get a full and complete document first and foremost. We have to have the content to be true, but also, and then I'm going to start as much as we can work on how are we showing up in that session. If I share with you, here's the information, and I throw it in your face, you can have all the information. Is that a healing process for you? Like, this is what you asked for, and I do it with resentment and anger and bitterness versus, okay, you got the information, but hopefully we're going to try to do it with a sense of openness and humility and empathy as much as possible. So the behavioral truth is kind of, and sometimes that's, I don't know, sometimes that's even more healing, not more healing, but I've seen that actually really helpful for the betrayed partner. I don't know, I can't trust his words, or do I even believe this document? Well, then it's, okay, what are you seeing in his actions? Is he working on this? Do you notice any changes in how he's showing up? Is he more present at all? Is he showing up? Is he still irritable all the time? Is he, not emotionally available? And, this is on a continuum and it takes time and all that. But like, are you seeing an effort? Is he trying to do it? Is he taking some of this seriously? Is he getting defensive and trying to blame shift and make you into the villain in the story? Is he using Darvo and other emotional abuse stuff? So that's all behavioral truth. And I actually think it's as critical to all this as the content truth, maybe even more critical, because again, I can share truth, but do it harshly, or I can do it with love. And those are two different, one's going to heal and one's going to harm.
Mm-hmm. And share truth with accountability or without accountability.
Right. Yeah,
all of those. And that is why it's so critical for the betrayed partner to have the support, because really she is discerning what it's feeling like for her after the gaslighting experience that inevitably comes in betrayal. Right. It is so critical for her to reconnect with herself, because I see that so often. Okay, well, I got the truth. Well, is it the truth? And it's like, okay, there's more than just this factual truth.
Right.
Like, you may have gotten the factual truth and he may not be in recovery.
Right. Because you can check boxes. I feel like that's the difference between checking boxes and actually, you see someone who is actively needing, they're in recovery, they're doing this, and they're, not perfect. So let's not say they're perfect, but they're really trying to work at it. And when they're not perfect and they see it, and then they own it, they take accountability. They try to work on it. They try to do this, be better each
Mhm.
day than they were the day before. Hopefully that's what you're seeing.
Yeah. And that's the consistency over
Mhm.
time. And
Right.
there is room for when it's like, okay, I'm not feeling safe right now. There's room for that. There's room for the boundaries. There's room for, okay, as the betrayed partner, I need some space. I'm not feeling good. Then, if he's really working in his recovery, there is space and room for that. And it's not that, blame shifting and you're ruining the relationship.
Yeah, that was my you're not controlling me, trying to punish me with boundaries. Like that whole thing.
Yeah.
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 Well, can I just say, I'm sorry, this is totally off topic. Can I say this for a
I
second?
love it. Yeah.
I have two, like, my big pet peeve, not pet peeve, but I think what we miss a lot of times, especially on the betraying person side, boundaries. If we understand them, it's literally, you don't even have to guess. Your partner is giving you a roadmap towards safety. They're telling you these are the things that will help me feel safer in this relationship. You're not having to guess it. They're literally, and probably even writing them. They're writing a list of
Mhm.
boundaries. They're saying these things. Now, they may look like, I need you to do this. That will help me feel safer if I know that you're in some kind of recovery group doing such and such. I mean, and that may feel like, okay, she's telling me what I'm doing or not doing. Okay, that's a whole other conversation. But either way, like, these are the things that are going to help your partner feel safe. So make sure you understand that. And if you're going to disregard that, what you communicate to the partner is your safety needs aren't important to me. That's what you're going to communicate if you dishonor the boundaries. But I also
Mhm.
say, like, we're talking about safety and trust rebuilding as part of the intimacy pyramid. If trust is rebuilt through consistent, trustworthy actions over time, if I agree to boundaries and then I actually follow through with honoring the boundaries, now I've actually matched my words and my actions, and I do that consistently over time. Now I'm actually building trust. So it's safety and trust rebuilding right there. So it
Yeah.
anyway, that's
Yeah,
my
no.
spiel
I
about
love
boundaries.
that. Yes, and that consistency over time. And what I have found is it cannot be manufactured. And that is something that has been really helpful as a betrayed partner
Mm,
because sometimes it's like, wait, am I going to get the wool over my eyes again? Because now he knows the special steps, the special sauce. And it's like, yeah, you actually for a little while, he can white knuckle through some of the things that like, okay, I'm doing your boundaries. I'm doing your boundaries, but it does not look like consistency over time because what happens as soon as there's some tension, if there's been white knuckling, as soon as there's some tension, then the resentment comes out and it's indisputable. And so it's not consistency over time. And I'm not talking about like being a human and having, mess ups, right? But it's
right.
not, it's really just this, it's an energy. That's what I
Mm-hmm,
call it. It
mm-hmm,
is an energy
mm-hmm,
that you
mm-hmm,
can sense as a partner.
mm-hmm. Totally. Right. You can feel there's something. It's not just, yeah. Right. Yep.
Yep. And so it's rebuilding in the betrayed partner, rebuilding that trust in herself to be able to discern that and to trust herself that, oh, this is feeling off. This is what I need to do. Even when he's saying, no, no, I'm doing all the things like, okay, that's cool, but I'm not feeling good.
Or the, like, and I'm all for the grand gestures. There's big things that the addicts do or betrayers do. That there's some big things. I'm actually more impressed. How do you show up on a Thursday when you're tired after work? Like, to me, those big things are great, but if it's not followed through in little times, then what'll end up happening, the partner, you'll basically kind of string your partner along. It'll feel really good for a second, and then you don't follow through, and it's going to feel pretty crazy making because you're not consistent, which does not build security back. Inconsistency
Yes.
is not going to build safety or security or
I
trust.
appreciate that. Yes. And that's where the consistency over time, it is little by little.
Mhm,
And I also say that for betrayed partners as they're rebuilding the trust in themselves.
mhm, mhm.
Consistency over time, little things that say, oh, I do trust myself. I am getting to know myself. And it's
Love
the
it.
same concept.
I love that.
Mm. Okay, let's talk a little bit about
Disclosure.
prep. I know disclosure. I could just talk to you forever. And since you have all these books, I'm probably gonna have you on again because
Sounds good.
I've always got lots more books. Okay, so let's talk about preparation and aftercare.
Okay.
And those are so important, even just as important as the actual day. So,
Mhm.
what are elements of healthy preparation and like aftercare for after the rite of truth? So, you have
Okay.
that disclosure.
Yeah. So there's two things. I think of content versus behavioral again, right? So for behavioral truth, hers isn't about being truthful in how you show up in maturity. That's not what we're talking about on the betrayed partner side. It's how do I prepare the behavioral side, how behavioral truth? How do I prepare for what I'm going to hear? How do I um, prepare myself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically for this? So part of it's bolstering resources. And I'll just, Janice Cottle in volume 2 of our workbooks, I mean, she has a million amazing resources in there. I'm going to give her credit for most, if not all of them. Like she had so many things. And you don't have to use everything. That's the thing. You're not supposed to have to do everything, but there are different, if you need to draw and use a mandala, there are, I think 5 mandalas in the book, or if
Mhm.
you have somatic resources that you need, there's different things you can do with your body. So other ways to prepare kind of stress inoculation. How do you preparing, unfortunately, how do we prepare for worst case scenarios? If the worst thing happens and you hear it, what are you going to do? So I think that's part of the prep is, preparing for what am I going to be hearing and how do I, prepare myself for those things. So that's one big part of prep for the partner. And then, yeah, how do I, aftercare is a whole other thing, which we can talk about a little bit, but in terms of content preparation, the two main things I think are most helpful is we have a needs assessment, and that's basically the full disclosure needs assessment. What are the things that you're wanting and needing from the disclosure, the right of truth? So um, those are the things that help the disclosing person's guide, help them know what we're dealing with, what we're not. What's the length of this? Are we doing polygraph? Are we not doing polygraph? Where is this going to be? I mean, this is even may sound like an obvious question. Sometimes you'll be working with people, and some people have very clear ways that they do this, and it's in my office, and it's done with this amount of time frame, and and there's no choice given to the partner. I don't agree with that. I think the partner gets to decide where they feel safest. Do they want it? Where do they want it? Do they want it in their safe place? Do they not want their safe place having the
Mhm.
disclosure? Where are we doing this? Who's coming and going? There's just all kinds of choices. So that's part of just preparation for the right of truth. And then also vetting questions. So the process of preparing questions, because at least the way I like to do disclosures, the disclosing person writes up their timeline, their kind of history, their behaviors as one section, but then at the second section, they're actually answering directly the partner's questions. So it's written answers to partners' questions. So helping those get vetted. How does the partner ask the questions that they want and need
Mhm.
answers to, and then what works, especially for doing polygraph. What kinds of questions can we do, and what doesn't work? So that's some of the prep. Aftercare, we'll prepare some aftercare plan ahead of time. Usually, I'm thinking like maybe 72 hours to a week, because oftentimes we'll do a post disclosure session where we're saying, okay, now what do we need given what we heard, in the short term after. But aftercare is, we want to make sure, and we can have a whole conversation about what that looks like and post disclosure time too. But that's at least the short of it that I see.
Yeah. Yeah, especially in that aftercare, there's a lot of unknowns for the betrayed partner where how is she going to feel? How is she going to react? All of that. And so I always, when I'm working with my partners, it's okay, let's just have a lot of options. So if you do feel like you want to go out, then there's that. If you want to be in,
Mm-hmm.
then there's that, right? Like, and
Totally.
have a lot of room for, do you want to, if you need childcare, right? Like that you have it, but maybe if you don't need it, you can say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
never mind, I'm doing okay. Whatever it is, it really having that flexibility. I kind of talk about it like a birth plan. Like you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that thought came to me, and I was like, I don't want to. I think it's actually a lot like that.
Yeah.
The benefit of
Yeah.
a birth is you have a beautiful baby through it. This is a little different. I mean, there's usually grief and loss associated with this, but there's something, but yes, I think it is like a birth plan. You have your best plans, and you have emergency plans, you have a bunch of different things. And I think that's the preparation for it. But I think that's a good, good way to look at it.
It's a good analogy. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about polygraph. You mentioned that. That always brings up kind of mixed feelings questions. So, from your perspective, what are potential benefits of a polygraph? Maybe reasons why not to? How can partners discern what's right for their situation?
Yeah, this is a huge hot button topic, especially, especially among the CSATs, I'll say, not less among AppSats folks that I've seen. So
Hmm,
there's that. There's that. You can not as much around partner specialists than there is about addict specialists. So
interesting.
make of that what you will.
Yeah.
What is it, first of all? So polygraph is not, the fidelity versus forensic polygraph. This isn't like when I first got into this field and I heard polygraph, I thought, well, that's a pretty extreme. That seems like a lot. But what is it? It's not trying to catch someone, a criminal, and catch them in a lie or interrogate them. Or this isn't an interrogation. That's not the goal of it. So it's a fidelity polygraph. The whole point of it is to verify the truth of what they're sharing in the disclosure. That's the point. So anyone that's trained in this, they're not gonna sugarcoat anything, but they realize we want to give this person every chance to pass because nobody wins if the person fails. Like we're trying to, it's a verification of truthfulness.
Mm-hmm.
So oftentimes they want to make sure, like, is there anything, it's not trying to catch you in a lie or like, I knew you were lying and it's a gotcha. So that's not the spirit of it. But I've generally seen positive results from people taking the polygraph using it. For whatever reason, people just seem to do a more thorough, I don't know what you call it, inquiry or examination or whatever. Like they just do a more thorough job on the disclosure when they know polygraph's there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not uncommon. And there's, pre-disclosure, post-disclosure poly, we could talk about those. But it's not uncommon that several days prior to the polygraph, more information comes out. I don't know if that's your experience, but
Yep. Yeah, it's
or during, maybe not even before, maybe like,
yes.
like, the leading the morning of, I'm about to take the poly and I just remember this thing. And maybe it is, maybe the person just remembered the thing, but to me, that means the brain is really working hard to try and remember the thing. Or were they like, I was thinking I could maybe hold this one thing and I finally realized I have to tell it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've just seen that play out. And would that happen with the same dedication as if we didn't have the polygraph? I don't know. So I've seen value. You'll get people, and oftentimes people say, well, they're not admissible in court, which is okay in certain states. But why does FBI, intelligence agencies, police force, why did they use polygraphs? I mean, they're used. So they're still well established and used. You'll also get people, and it's legitimate, polygraphs aren't perfect. And I understand, my main understanding is that that's based on the examiner, not necessarily the exam. Like oftentimes examiners skill of what they're doing, but they're roughly, I think, 87%, 92% reliable, somewhere around there. It's not perfect. So I think you'll get people that are, I get this a number of times. People say, and it's usually from the disclosing person, understandably, they're saying, look, I put everything on the line, and then this thing tells me I'm lying, and then and then it throws everything invalid, and I lose. It basically, I was telling the truth, but this thing destroys my marriage.
That's the fear. Huh?
That's the fear.
Yeah.
Based on a false result. But I don't know the stats on if someone I think it's rare if someone actually takes a polygraph, fails. In my experience, when someone's taken a polygraph, failed, it's because they were lying. It's not because the machine messed up. It's generally not that. It's usually because they were holding something. So when they retake it, they pass because they told the truth. So, I mean, I think the misconception, they're not perfect. So as a betrayed partner, we can't say this is the instrument. This is the thing that's going to help me determine if I'm safe and if I can trust this. It's not the thing. It's a really good tool, but it's not the thing.
There. Yes. And that is exactly it. And you discuss that in the workbooks.
Yeah.
This is one tool. This is not, and I've worked with partners. I had one who's, well, then why am I doing this if it's not 100%, And I'm like, yeah, That's a good question. Why? Let's talk about it, and look and see. It's really just adding one more layer of support, of tools, in addition to your own discernment. In addition, and this is where it gets kind of tricky, right? Well, he passed the polygraph, but I'm not feeling good. Yeah, that is what's
Yeah.
happening. You're not feeling good still.
But I've also seen, and that's true. But 90% is pretty good. 90%,
Hmm.
if, okay, let's just say if we do it or don't, if you don't do it, that puts 100% of the responsibility on the partner to trust the words at face value and trust their gut to try and discern it. At least this we get a 90+% chance that that a machine's backing it up. So,
Hmm.
and usually the people are telling the truth. I mean, and it
Hmm.
validates it. And I've seen benefits for both. I've actually seen, there's sometimes it's interesting for the disclosing person going through poly, when they come out of it, it's almost like I almost didn't know I could trust myself, and like,
There.
and they come through it and
Yes.
they're like, oh, I thought I was telling the truth, but now actually this thing told me I'm telling the truth. And I'm like, okay, actually, maybe I can start to, like, this is my first kind of step in integrity that I never had in my whole life. So I've seen
Mm,
that benefit. I've seen, especially if we do these earlier, let's say the betrayer, like, oh my gosh, if 3 months later they remember something that they didn't disclose,
mhm,
the chances that I've seen, if you do a polygraph and then the person discloses that thing that they just remembered, the chances of the partner thinking that it was a remembered truth as opposed to, like, it was a recovered truth as opposed to it was a
mhm,
withheld truth is much higher, I
mhm,
think. Because, like,
mhm.
okay, he passed a polygraph, so it's more likely that he forgot it than he's just held this one back. So
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
force it. I mean, people can make their choices, but I've seen
Yeah.
benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, again, that informed choice and the betrayed partner gets to decide what is beneficial for her. Yeah.
Yeah,
And even when it's like, okay, the polygraph passed, that's the content truth. And maybe what you're not feeling good about is the behavioral truth
that's
still.
true. Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
Yep. Let's zoom out of this disclosure work for any of the women who are listening who feel scared, terrified of this process, but also wants that truth and clarity. What would you want her to know about the purpose of a well-facilitated disclosure, possibilities that can come afterwards? Kind of what would be your kind of give her what you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, anyone that's considering it, I I first would want to say, like, this is nobody's first choice to even have to go through a disclosure process. I mean, this is so. First of all, I'm sorry that anyone would have to be even here in the space having to consider a disclosure. I'm glad you are here though, because that means you've found some good resources ahead of you. But to me, it can be scary. But I think what's the cost? What's the cost either way of knowing versus not knowing? I mean, it done well. I really think it's like, I guess, think of it like this way. If I had a broken bone, the bone may heal on its own, but there are times where maybe it didn't heal and I could still live, but let's say it didn't heal correctly. We may have to break the bone at some point to heal it and actually reset it so it gets done properly. And what I'd hate to have happen is, anyone that chooses not to go through disclosure and then several years from now, more stuff comes to surfacing and now we feel like we're way back at square one. So the whole goal, my heart with all of this is that we can do this in a way that honors the truth that the partner deserves. You deserve the truth. And that hopefully it's like setting that bone, it's like cleaning out an infection. It's a way that you can heal and gives yourself and the relationship a chance to heal.
Yeah. And I kind of have a follow-up with that. What about when your partner won't do the disclosure, the person who is betrayed, the betraying partner?
Not a good sign.
Yeah.
There's a lot of behavioral truth. To me, I mean, can you heal? You can heal for sure. For the
Hmm.
relationship, I guess, to me, I would look at what are your core values? What do you need in a partnership? A lot of women I talk to, they need transparency. They need trust, they need accountability, reliability, and safety, and all those things. And if your betraying partner is refusing, I guess that says, I don't know how you communicate something that, I'm protecting myself over our relationship. So I guess is the encouragement, but at the end of the day, we can't force anyone to do any of this. I would never force a betrayed partner to go through a disclosure. You can't force someone to do a disclosure if they're not willing to be honest. But I hope you could heal regardless if your partner is opting into the relationship healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here with us. I really appreciate it. And where can people find these workbooks?
The workbooks, Amazon is probably the easiest way. Our Genocide's website, I'm just going to say it. It's a little hard to remember. It sounds like a law firm.
Ah,
KintsugiRecoveryPartners.com.
yes.
That's where you can
Mm-hmm.
find information about us. But Amazon is where you can find the workbooks in it's full disclosure series.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and we didn't even get to finding guides and coaches and therapists, but we can put a plug. AppSats, right? AppSats
AppSats for
trained.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And Janice Cottle and I have some disclosure trained people that at the actually disclosureguide.com is a place. And I think that links to the Kintsugi website too.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Dan, for just sharing what you've experienced, what you've seen, and about these books. These are a great resource for all of us, really, partners as well as clinicians.
Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Thank you. I hope that this just gave some information. And as always, take what resonates and leave the rest. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining me today on the Betrayal Trauma Recovery Bookshelf. If something from this episode spoke to you, share it with a friend or come connect with me online. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Rachel Strong Smith. And if you want to go deeper, sign up for my email newsletter, where I share grounded support, personal insights, and practical tools to help you reconnect with yourself. Remember, healing isn't a straight line, it's a spiral, and every step towards yourself matters. So, until next time, take gentle care.